Hello and welcome back to the Extra Innings Baseball Show. I am your host, Logan Stump, and with me today, as always, is the Mike Trout of podcasting, the man himself, Jordan Wiegand. Jordan, how you doing?
I do always get injured, so that is
That's kind of what I was going for.
No, you were going for.
I wasn't going for Shohei,
ever, right?
No, I wasn't. I would have said Shohei, where he can do it all. But there's points there's been points throughout your career where you've had to go down just for minor injuries, and you're back playing, Jordan. Now you texted me this weekend and you said you were still sore after going to play some softball. What position they got you playing? I mean, are they looking to Shohei you? Are they looking to kind of put you out there in the outfield so you don't get hurt again? Maybe some right field.
Yeah, I was hurt in right field, so I'm actually still out there, out in outfield, playing a lot of center in these in these scrimmages, and I tell you that it's winding. It's really hard to catch up to some of these, but it's fun. I would rather play the infield because I like playing second base, but they always have me in the outfield because I'm actually good at tracking down some pops, pop flies, and I guess that's why I'm out there. I'm usually pretty good with that.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, at least it's better than being the DH or coming off the bench in the last minute and coming in and try to display your power, I guess, off the bench and get it in a bat in. But how's the team looking? I mean, you guys are any good? I know last year
we had one win. This year, our season will start on the 24th. We played a scrimmage on Saturday, and I think we won. We kind of lost track of score at a certain point, but it felt like we won. We've gotten better, I feel like. It's either that or we were playing a new team that's coming in, but they're all like young, like 18-year-olds, man. But we still did pretty well against them, and they were making so many errors. This is why I'm probably so sore. I beat out two infield singles to short, right? Like that's how I guess you could say I'm fast. But I think it was just because they were mishandling the ball. I'm not sure if I know. I've seen them when I was, getting ready to bat easy ground balls, right? Just like. Don't know if it's because we had to shift to a baseball field in the middle of this game because somebody else came to the field and was like, get off of the field, but it was something like that. And I saw that. I'm not sure because I didn't keep my eye on the ball after I hit it. I just sprinted full speed, but I'm not sure if the shortstop bobbled it, but every time they threw it over, it was low. The first baseman would have to reach and stretch for it and wouldn't get it. So 2 times beat it out that way. And even if the first baseman had called it, it would have been pretty much a bang play. That's how close it was.
Well, it looks like your team's improving at least. I mean, that's always fun. It's never fun playing on a losing team, and I'm sure you have a lot of experience watching that. I mean, did you guys tank to get an extra pick? Like, is that what happened? Like, you got some stud out there now you got like an Adley Rutschman who was, maybe 12 and he jumped up to being 13, and you're like, all right, we got this kid that's playing softball with us now.
Unfortunately, no. We do have, I think, 2 new players. They haven't been to practice yet, so I guess I don't know the prospects of them right now.
Are they holding out? Like, is there some kind of holdout on the contract situations?
Yeah, it might be. It might be they go back to school.
It's understandable. Yeah. All right. I guess enough of Jordan softball. We'll get more of his softball
throughout the course of the year.
Some highlights throughout the year. Maybe I'll go up to a game once and record Jordan just so we can have some footage to put into the highlight reel of the beginning of this episode, which would be great. But yeah, Jordan, everything else good? Are we all good? Tomorrow is opening day. I mean, today might be opening day depending on when you're listening to this.
I'm trying to put this up as soon as we're done. So I will say that, you're either listening to it, late Wednesday or early Thursday. And with, some of the games that have been postponed, right, your team might have an extra day to listen to this now.
Yeah, I mean, the way that it's going to, I know in Chicago, they're having some issues with some weather. I know in the Midwest, they've had some issues with some rain, really cold out, which is, pretty typical of this part of the country. Down in Florida, we're all right. We play indoors in Florida, which is really odd. But I know that a lot of the country is going to get blasted with snow and wind, and we're going to see some crazy games and outcomes over the next couple of weeks just because April's pretty brutal. All right, so let's launch into it. Let's get into some news. Not that much news to really cover, not anything crazy. I guess one thing maybe that is a little strange, but we'll talk about that last. Let's get into the first thing, though. Trade deadline was announced, Jordan, Tuesday, August 2nd. So they obviously did not listen to our podcast. They did not make it a big trade deadline week leading into the weekend so we could all watch it on a Saturday or Sunday. But they're going for Tuesday. Any thoughts on this? It pushes it back a couple days, which, I mean, I guess could maybe prolong the oh, yeah, we're still contenders.
See, 31st would have been a Sunday. That's when it would have usually been. I don't know the move for Tuesday. I guess maybe they think they can just take over Tuesday. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. What's the point of a shifting date if you're not even going to maximize potential on it? If you did make it a Saturday or a Sunday, you could literally have people at home just watching MLB Network the whole day waiting for trades to happen. Tuesday at 6:00 is the deadline. I guess you can get home in time and sit down and be like, "Oh yeah, let's watch this hour of coverage." But I don't know. I don't really get it.
I was going through the county and state legislature, and there's nothing yet, Jordan, on opening day or trade deadlines as far as employers giving days off. But we will keep you posted if we ever find anything like that so that you know where to move. It might be some like random place in Idaho, but no legislature so far. But the deadline, again, moving back a couple days, I think it does kind of prolong the, yes, sure, we're still contenders, but I think 2 days really isn't that significant. I don't think it's going to make a difference. It's usually 3 games. So anything else moving on? Moving on. All right. So PitchCom. Okay. This was interesting. And what's really strange about this, Jordan, is I had never really heard of this until yesterday. It comes out, and yesterday is announced that MLB sent its club's memos on Tuesday that it is moving forward with the regular season use of PitchCom. PitchCom, what it is, Jordan, is a wearable device that transmits signals from the catcher to the pitcher. In 2022, they'll be able to use it. The technology is optional, so they do not have to participate in this. They were testing it out in an experimental usage in Single A last year. It made its way to spring training this year, and actually, some of the catchers really did like it. Some of the pitchers liked it. I know Kansas City was using it, and it's. I mean, I think it's obvious as to what they're doing. There's been a lot of sign stealing. There's been a lot of weird antics in the bullpens out in the outfield when you have teams that are using binoculars and the cameras that are out there and the video board to kind of show and flash signals so that the hitter knew what was going on. So this kind of limits that. However, I know that after reading through a lot of it, it did say that it's going to be used, fairly well, but like enough. But it sounds like the clubs are staying more traditional. They want to use the signs because a lot of catchers like to drop down signs. They like the unique signs that they can give. It's kind of that flashy thing that the catcher can do. So a lot of catchers are staying to the traditional ways. But Jordan, had you heard of this? Because I have not heard of yet.
I had heard of this. It was also it's been kind of used in college ball, or something like this is being used in college ball. But the issue there is that I think for college kids, it's been almost the whole team wears them, and they almost all know what is coming. Which I don't think is as good because it keeps like the players don't have to be on their toes as much if they're out in the field and they know a fastball is coming or a changeup's coming, because it's going to change how they're getting ready, I guess. And learning to read the game themselves. But I think it'll speed up some games, whoever uses it. And I think that might be fine. I mean, look, is it hackable? Is there going to be a way somebody else can intercept the signal? I don't know.
Right.
That could lead a whole nother alley of, a club just deciding to hack in to I don't know how. Maybe they can't. I don't know. But if you can somehow receive the signal as well, then you know what's coming as well. If you can figure out what number is which pitch, which all you'd have to do is the same way you'd figure out a sign when it was somebody holding a finger down. If it's 1 for fastball, and every time they put a 1 down, it's a fastball, then it'd be the same thing of if you're have the device, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're somehow able to get a signal from it, you'd be able to say every time they press this button, it's a fastball. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that won't ever happen, but I wouldn't put it past a Major League Baseball team to attempt it because they've been trying to do this type of stuff ever since baseball was invented.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like you said, there was major concern from other managers that said, what happens if they're in the same network and kind of get those feeds and they're doing the exact same thing that they were doing before? How do you know that a player's not wearing something on his back that they can then signal, hey, he's throwing a fastball? It's cool though. Like the technology's been behind it is pretty cool. It's good. It's worn on the wrist. The catcher can press certain areas on the wrist to which signals whatever it might be that's coming up next, and then it goes into the pitcher's cap. There's a feed in the pitcher's cap. I think it vibrates, so I think the pitcher would know. But then I'm starting to wonder, like, could they hear that? Like, could they hear that vibrating on his head? Like,
maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, how close do you have to be able to? I don't know. It's a strange concept to me. It's a strange concept because I think you could eventually figure out where the catcher's pressing on the sleeve if you're watching closely enough, because you know how far down his arm it is.
Yeah.
So
well, you know, I think it was Toronto who was testing it out during the spring training as well, and the pitcher and catcher got fed up with it that they just switched to going back to hand signs.
Yeah.
So maybe it could be good, maybe it won't. We'll find out this year, I guess.
Yeah. Some cross-ups could be dangerous. Speaking of cross-ups, let's cross it up and head over into England, Jordan, because the next piece of news comes from our friendly neighbors, our World Cup rivals, our 1776 partners. What's going on in England, Jordan? What news do we have coming from the Bob Nightingale?
Is it an England thing?
Was it in England? I thought it was England.
No, it's here.
I thought it was England. Why did I read that as England? Like it was a England package or something.
No, maybe this is over here on Peacock. You'll be able to have
in English.
It'll be broadcast in English, I guess.
Thank you. There we go.
You can listen to it. You can figure out what they're saying.
Why did I feel like it was England?
So it's going to be on Peacock. It is MLB Sundays on Peacock. Peacock announced this at 4:44 today. We had already known that they were having a Peacock package, but they unveiled the games that they're going to be broadcasting. So these games, I believe, are exclusive to Peacock Premium, except for the first game. The first game, Chicago White Sox at Boston Red Sox on May 8th at 11:30 a.m. is also going to be on NBC. Let me just share this. This would be nice for the video people.
I know what it was. He put Wimbledon in his tweet, meaning that people overseas could then watch it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, I thought you just had some new news that I didn't know about. I'm like, okay, this is some English news.
No, yeah. No, it's like, it said, move over breakfast in Wimbledon. Like, I was like, okay, why is he talking about Wimbledon? And I don't get the reference.
So the main thing is these first few weeks, they're all at 11:30 a.m. This will be the earliest baseball game of the day. These are all on Sundays. Then from June 19th onward, they're going to be noon. And they actually have, I believe what they said is for these weeks, they will have exclusive rights to this window, meaning no game would be able to start before, I think, 1:30 on Sundays. So that way, I guess people can watch most of this game or half of this game before they'd have to watch their local game. One thing I want to shout out, Orioles do have a game on this, thankfully. July 10th, the Los Angeles Angels at the Baltimore Orioles at noon. So you can either go to the yard and watch Shohei, or you can watch it on Peacock Premium on MLB Sundays. Any thoughts on this, Logan?
Yeah, that's brutal for the West Coast teams that are coming over here. Like, none of them are in the West Coast, obviously, because that would be like a 9 a.m. start.
It'd be 8:30.
Yeah.
Oh, well, 8:30 for
8:30 and 9 o'clock, right? But no, like I'm looking at the schedule, Jordan, and down towards the bottom, you got Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim playing against your O's, playing in Camden at noon, probably coming from wherever they're coming from. I hope they're playing on the East Coast before that, because
Well, no,
otherwise,
it's a Sunday game, so it's probably the last game of the series. So these people actually have a head start on getaway day here.
I guess, yeah.
I don't know.
Depending, yeah.
Wouldn't you like to be able to wake up at 9 a.m. and just turn on the baseball game?
I would love to. I just know that players don't like to play this early. So, like the Cubs, I mean, seriously, I only know this because Cub players forever have complained about playing at 1 o'clock at times, the way teams have. The Cubs like it because it's an advantage and they're home by 4 o'clock. They said the hardest thing is getting up out of the hotel, getting all that stuff packed, worry about like travel, and then not going back to the hotel, and it's a nightmare of a travel day.
I guess the only thing is, right, for most of these people, this is an hour and a half earlier. Earlier. Most Sunday games are at 1 o'clock if you're on the East, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because usually the only game on at night is the Sunday night game at 7 o'clock. So you have most of these games done at either 1 or 4s when they start. So, and the 4 o'clock games are usually West Coast 1 o'clock games. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the 11:30, I think anytime you have something starting in an AM, it may make it seem early.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think West Coast people should be kind of used to this for watching football games, right?
True.
I mean, wake up at 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is 10 a.m. over there that they're watching NFL football.
Yeah. I mean, Bob Nightingale had it right though. Like you're increasing the likelihood of somebody internationally watching the game. Like you're increasing British traffic, French traffic, Africa traffic. Like,
if they're on Peacock, I mean, these games I guess would be on MLB TV overseas, I guess.
Yeah, but I think some of them own that international Peacock package where I think they're going to be able to buy Peacock and have Major League Baseball stream.
Well, I don't think Peacock's overseas yet. I think it's just American. Yeah, it's just in America right now.
Well, then I'm sorry, British people. I really hyped you up in this episode, and none of you are getting the damn game.
It's probably on MLB TV.
Move to the U.S.
If they're already, that's the thing though. If they're already on MLB TV subscriber, then they're probably already a hardcore fan, right?
Right.
That's what I would assume. So I don't know how much it'll grow it, but
yeah.
There you go. Those are the games.
Well, nice. I do kind of like the early game for my sake, just because I can watch. Well, I mean, none of the Cubs games it looks like were on that list, but was there?
There's at least one.
Yeah.
There's at least one.
Okay, so all right. Speaking of England, all right, let's move on to the AL West. They're actually playing all their away games in England this year. It's going to be this new thing. It's this initiative that somebody's going to look this up right now. No, I'm not an idiot completely. I'm just making stuff up at this point. AL West, Jordan, last year. All right, let's get into the preview. The Astros finished first. That's shocking. 95-67. Lost to the Braves in the World Series. Mariners, 90-72, but did not make the playoffs. That's a fun story. The Athletics, 86-76. That's even more fun. The Angels, 77-85, and the Rangers down at the bottom with 60 wins and 102 losses. Jordan, last year, the AL West owned by the Astros. I think over the last, 5 to 6 years, I believe it's been. The Astros have owned that division. They have appeared in the ALCS for the last 6 years. There's nothing crazy about it. Check my math. I might be wrong. But I believe it was the last 6 years from what I can remember.
The last 6 years they did what?
ALCS. I think that's right. It might have been 6 or 7 years. I can't quite remember if somebody.
It's pretty high up there, I believe.
Because somebody was rattling off like the name. Well, I can tell you, it was 2015 was the Indians, and then so 2016 had to have been the Astros. So this will be their 7th, I think, 5th or 6th. I don't know what year it is. So So you can calculate that, but we'll kind of get into. I mean, the Astros own this division. There's not ever really been much competition over the last couple of years, but the Mariners threw up a nice win total last year. We really thought going into, I think, the postseason that they had a real shot. I know you and I were following their games closely. They had a couple games there at the end, down towards the end of the season, down towards the wire, and they just couldn't come through. And teams just kept on winning in the wild card and kept them out. But I mean, do you see anything? Do you see anything where you're kind of hopeful for this division going forward? Because a lot of people think this division might be one of the weakest in baseball, as far as like everybody's kind of regressed a little bit, even the Astros, maybe.
Well, so correction, it's 5 straight years in the ALCS. They had 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017. 2016 was Cleveland versus Toronto. Okay. So that's pretty consistent. That's pretty consistent. What I would say is I think this division is actually going to be very interesting. I think I could see myself watching a lot of these games on MLB.TV, because what you have here is an up-and-coming Seattle team. You have a Houston team that's still going to be pretty darn good, even with their losses. You have the Rangers making a push after they signed Seager and Semien. You have the Angels with Ohtani and Trout, two of the best baseball players playing right now. The only one I'm kind of out on right now is Oakland. I think, I'm not saying all of these teams are playoff teams or anything, but I think this division will be a lot of fun to watch. And the great thing about East Coast people, right, is that 10 o'clock, all the East Coast games are done. You can kind of unwind your night with a great AL West matchup. And it's where a lot of the stars are going to be. You know, you got Jared Kelenic coming up for the Mariners. You have Julio Rodriguez, who just got called up for the Mariners. So that's a lot of stuff going on here for this division that you would seemingly think before was a really bad division. Like I felt like before the Astros were just a really good team in a bad division, you know. Obviously they were a great team, but what I'm saying is like none of the other teams were doing that. I mean, if you look at Mike Trout, right? And the Angels, Mike Trout's been in one playoff series in his history.
Yeah.
So when you look at this now and you see some of the changes these teams have made, I think this is going to be a really fun division. I don't think the Rangers' year is this year. I think they're building towards something that might make a run in a year or two. But I still think they'll be fun to watch. I'm sure signing Semien and Seager for the fans are probably excited that they did something. You know, they shed Odor and Gallo and they bring in those two. Like, that's pretty good, right? So that's what I'm looking at this division. I think it's just going to be a lot of fun, unless if you're an A's fan.
So let's dive a little deeper then, because that was a really nice rundown that you gave us, especially if you don't watch much of the AL. It is an interesting division because when I was going through and looking at a lot of their stuff, looking at Fangraphs, which we'll go into obviously because we use that as kind of our reference point. They do have some enticing players, and we'll get to the Angels, who I think are a lot of fun to talk about. But let's talk about the Astros. We'll kind of go in order that they finished, just like we have in the last couple previews. The Astros' key losses: Jordan, Carlos Correa to the Twins, Kendall Graveman goes to the Sox, the white ones, and then Zach Greinke, Kansas City, Yimi Garcia to Toronto, and Brooks Raley to Tampa. Their key additions, not much. Nico Goodrum, who, according to Fangraphs, doesn't really appear. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where he kind of slots in. I do know that their middle infield, he's on the bench. He's kind of that infield, outfield bat that they'll be using, which I figured that was the case. I just didn't know that he was on Fangraphs because sometimes Fangraphs is a little off. But just kind of talking about some of the key departures, Jordan, Carlos Correa. This is a huge bat that they're going to be missing. when you have a 7 point, I think what we said 7.4 or 7.2 wins above replacement. That's just not a guy you go out and replace very easily. They're going to go. They're going to try and do their best. Jeremy Pena is their number one prospect, who appears to be slotted into that position. They do still have Jose Altuve, Michael Brantley, Alex Bregman. Then you got Jordan Alvarez, Yuli Gurriel. That's always a fun name to say. Kyle Tucker, Chas McCormick, Jeremy Pena, and Martin Maldonado. So no, Jordan, you're right. Like, that is not, like, they get weaker in the fact they don't have Carlos Correa, but they don't really become, like, okay, they might be a second place team this year. No, that's still one of the better lineups in all of baseball. Last year they led in average, they led in OPS, or sorry, they were second OPS. They were first in average, first in on base percentage, first in runs scored, ninth in home runs. Their pitching is elite, oftentimes. I mean, Jordan, is there anything with this team that you kind of look at and go, okay, that might be a concern, or is this just, they're just flying colors, and it just seems that the Astros continue to kind of keep pace with what they've done?
So the way I look at the Astros is their best windows may be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
5
Agreed.
straight ALCS is pretty good. I mean, it's going to be tough
It's
to
closing.
get to the 6. It's going to get tough to get to the 6th one. But if there's anything I trust from knowing how Mike Elias works as an Orioles GM, knowing he came from there, they probably think highly of Jeremy Pena. I know that they tried to get Correa back. The owner got involved, but I wouldn't be shocked if the GM is thinking, we got this. He's our number one prospect. Let's bring him up. Fangraphs has him projected for this year to bat 254 with, they're thinking maybe 20 home runs, right? Correa last year hit 279 with 26 home runs. So you are going to be missing some of that. But if that's how a rookie comes up and performs, then you're probably thinking he's going to improve. And again, these are just projections. Now, I don't think it all hinges on their shortstop, right? Correa was also a leader of that team. I think you're going to have another player step up and be a leader. But I don't know. I think they'll be fine. I mean, looking at their lineup projection, Jose Altuve, Michael Brantley, Alex Bregman, Jordan Alvarez, Yuli Gurriel, Kyle Tucker, who's been good. And he is, got 2 years of service time. Chas McCormick, Jeremy Pena, and then Martin Maldonado. That's probably actually they have projections for 2022 now for Pena to be 20 home runs, which again, that'd be pretty darn good, average of 250. That would be stepping right into what they need. So they have that on the projected starting lineup, but on the other page I had of just Jeremy Pena, they had different projections. So I don't know. I think they can do fine without Correa. Pitching wise, you've talked about it a bit. They're going to have, Jake Odorizzi back out there, Justin Verlander, Framber Valdez, Jose Urquidy, if I said that right, and Luis Garcia. All of these, all these pitchers have been with them for at least a year or more. And some of them are old. Verlander's 39. We'll see how he does, right? He didn't play last year, right? And then he didn't play 2020. Due to, he did play 2020, didn't he?
Tommy John was last year, right?
Okay, yeah. I didn't know if maybe he sat out the COVID year, but he missed last year. We'll see how Verlander does, but I don't know. I just have faith in the Astros front office because I have faith in the Orioles front office, so I feel like I have to have faith in the Astros front office. So I think they'll be fine. I think they have just a little. They probably have one team to really worry about this year, and we'll get to them.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. You went over their staff. Their staff's great. It's really hard to win in that ballpark. It always has been. It's always a nightmare to travel there. It's just because it's so funky. It's like a matchbox. It's so difficult to play with that short porch and left, just like Fenway. I mean, it's got that advantage to it. These guys just rake, man. They just absolutely crush the ball, and I just don't see anything changing. The biggest thing, I think, the biggest concern if you're looking at it as an Astros fan, I think, or the outside, the biggest thing that could go wrong is, like you said, that aging pitching where Justin Verlander is not Justin Verlander anymore. They kind of lose Zach Greinke, who had been pretty decent for them.
He's old too, though.
Yeah,
but I don't know
like
if that much is going to matter.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still an arm that's a veteran. I mean, they relied heavily on him last year, but was not healthy. It does. It kind of shocks your team when you've got the middle of the infield missing. Kendall Graveman was pretty decent when he made appearances last season, so it'll be interesting just to kind of see how that all the pieces fall together. But Jake Odorizzi was really good when he was with the White Sox. Could continue to be really good for Houston after a couple years with them. Now it'll be interesting to kind of see where they fall into place with its staff. And God, could you imagine if they add like another top of the rotation arm, they become just as good as they once were.
And they might. Looking at their projected prospects, Hunter Brown is a pitcher, and so is Jairo Solis. Solis is projected to hit this year. Hunter Brown next year. But you never know how that's going to go. But they have 3 top 100 guys projections: Jeremy Pena, Corey Lee, and Hunter Brown. So I think, and one of them, Hunter Brown's a pitcher, Corey Lee's a catcher. That could be an upgrade over Maldonado at a certain point. And then you have Jeremy Pena maybe fitting in short. And looking at last year's rankings, reason why I'm not too concerned about them, they were number 1 in average, number 1 in on-base percentage, number 2 in OPS, number 1 in runs. Okay?
Yeah.
And they lost one guy, Correa, when it comes to hitting. So I think that'll be fine. Again, it's going to be their pitchers. They were 5th in ERA, 6th in WHIP, and then 3 in hits per 9 innings and 5 in home runs per 9 innings. And they were 17th in walks and strikeouts per 9. So probably the weakest spot is the pitching, but I think they'll be okay. I think they can win the division.
I think so too. So the Mariners, Jordan, let's jump down to the Mariners because this team I know excites you and I because I think it's just fascinating. I want them to do well. Like if I had a team that I like, I'll be rooting for the Orioles because you're an Oriole guy. But if I had another team, or if you're like a casual fan and you're like, what team can I root for? That's just like bonkers. Root for them. Because they're just so much fun. They were fun when Ichiro was there. They really went through it after he left and never really kind of regained traction. They had Felix Hernandez, the king. Now they're kind of coming back up to the surface. They did overreach their projections from last year. The underlying stats were basically saying that this was another team that kind of lies in that really lucky fringe. So I guess we'll see kind of what that means. Those kind of stats I'm always hesitant about because baseball is a game of luck. There's other sports that are not games of luck. This is a game of luck. And it really does come down to, I mean, sometimes the balls just bounce the right way. And that might be this team's I know the Brewers have been like that for a long time, but the Cubs had problems with them. It just seems like there's always teams out there, Jordan, that the ball always seems to bounce the right way for them. And that might be this team. So if you kind of look at their stuff from last year and looking at who they lose, they're going to lose Yusei Kikuchi to Toronto, James Paxton to Boston, Tyler Anderson to the Dodgers, Joe Smith to Minnesota, Sean Doolittle to the Nationals. I forgot to put Seager on this list, it looks like, as far as losses, but they lose him to the Texas Rangers. And Jordan.
No, that was Corey Seager, right?
Or sorry, he retired.
Kyle Seager. Retired.
Kyle Seager. Yeah, sorry. Kyle Seager. Thank you for correcting me. I'm off today.
No problem.
But yeah, Kyle Seager retires. Had been a staple in Seattle. Jordan, this team adds not a ton, right? Robbie Ray, Cy Young, but that's pretty much it. They had a
Sergio Romo.
Yeah, but like Sergio Romo was good a couple years ago.
Here's what they also added via trade. Jesse Winker comes in.
Oh, that's
so
right.
does Eugenio Suarez, and so does Adam Frazier.
Yeah.
Then you're promoting from within. They're going to bring up. They already announced this. Julio Rodriguez. That's their number 1 prospect since since Kelnick went up last year. So you're going to have Julio Rodriguez playing center field next to Kelnick in left. They have 4 top 100 prospects. Another one's supposed to come up later this year, according to Fangraph projections. That's George Kirby. That's a pitcher. And then they have Noel V. Marte and Emerson Hancock projected to come up next year. One's a shortstop, one's a pitcher. So if they hit those, their window is starting to get bigger. I love their pitching staff right now with Robbie Ray. They bring in Logan Gilbert as well, who's just recently got up there last year, and now they're bringing up, they announced this, I believe already too, Matt Brash is going to make the starting rotation. He was only up for 10 games last year. Is that right? That's what I'm seeing. 10 games last year. So I actually like their young pitching staff, and anchoring that is Robbie Ray, as we just talked about. So I think that's pretty good. And then when you look at the starting lineup, Adam Frazier, Ty France, Jesse Winker, Mitch Haniger, Eugenio Suarez, who they're hoping rebounds from when he was a Red, Julio Rodriguez, Jared Kelnick, Tom Murphy, J.P. Crawford. I mean, that's a pretty decent lineup. The holes are probably catcher with Tom Murphy, and you're probably looking at maybe J.P. Crawford. I don't know how well he usually does, but he's 27 years old. They're probably banking on that shortstop prospect coming up at a certain point throughout the year or two. I think their bench is probably a little weak. That's probably one thing I would say. Their bench is Cal Raleigh, Luis Torrens, Abraham Toro, and Dylan Moore. Not a lot of impact guys off the bench. But I really like this team. They can make a huge push. If they don't win the division this year, you can see their window maybe opening for a few more years here where, look, we already talked about this a few episodes ago about how their run differential was more akin to a 70-some win team, but they won 90 games. They're probably going to be closer to that 90-win game team this year, and they're hoping, they were only 5 back of Houston. They were only 2 back of the wild card. They could easily grab a wild card spot, and I think they can actually challenge for the division more than any of the other teams in this division.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like you said, those guys that were traded. You know what's happened? So there's a website. I'll have to find it to call it out. But there's a website. If you go in and add, it doesn't add trades. It adds free agents. So anybody that's traded, I had to go in and try to figure out. And for some reason, I just must have blanked on the 3 of them.
I started looking at just the Fangraphs thing because it'll tell you when they were traded and stuff.
So maybe I'll just switch over to that when I do that. But Eugenio Suarez.
We no longer have to preview now. We're done.
Yeah, that's right. Well, when I'm going through and looking at the box score, I'll actually look at. No, I'm kidding. But Eugenio Suarez. I think that's how you say that. Eugenio. I don't remember how to say it, but I had it down in the car, but I can't say it now. He, like you said, in 2019, he had, and I remember this. 2019, he had a year where they thought he would be running for the NL MVP. Because of how well he'd hit. He's got a huge bat at times, but at times he just fades. And he's gone he's gone downhill quickly over the last couple of years.
You want to hear 2018?
Yeah.
283 average. Yep. 2019, 271. 2020, 202. And a 198 average in 2021.
Yeah. So, and a guy that burst onto the scenes, it was kind of one of those guys that comes up and it was kind of a late bloomer, but he did bloom quickly, and then all of a sudden died quickly. Now, Jesse Winker, on the other hand, Jordan, I think that's massive. I don't think people understand how good he is because you don't see him a lot with the Reds. Not a lot of people were turning on Reds games, but having been a Cubs fan and knowing Jesse, the guy's just a gamer. He understands how to get on base. He's a good defender. He'll kind of slot in DH. I think he plays some infield, outfield. He can play pretty much anywhere. You kind of place him. But again, a really good bat. Adam Frazier, you had more experience with Adam, more so than we do over on the NL side. But again, a good addition, I think, and somebody that I think can really propel the top of that lineup. And like you said, Jordan, I mean, I don't see where this team got any weaker, except maybe, I don't know, leadership quality. Like, I don't know, like these guys hadn't played together yet. They're kind of meshing a new team together with some of the guys they're calling up. Jared Kelnick, I think that's a really fun one because I think he can turn into something. Julio Rodriguez, was that the video?
Yes, that was the video of who they called up.
Yeah. Gotcha. Which was cool.
If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's them in the coach's office, manager's office, telling him that, asking him if he thinks he can handle, center field in a big league ballpark. And he's like, of course, and then telling him that he is promoted and that his parents are already on the way to see his game. So it's a good story. I did want to bring up too that trade that got them Winker and Suarez still has a player to be named later that's
true,
that they said might tilt this more to Cincinnati's side. And a lot of people think it might be Emerson Hancock, who I mentioned earlier. He's their number 3 prospect, who's a pitcher. So I'm sure if you're a Mariners fan, you're probably not hoping that that's the case, but we'll find that out later throughout the season, I think. So
anything else on the Mariners? I mean, they've got a really good bullpen that's mostly coming back. Then they had Sergio Romo.
I love this team. Yeah. This is a team that I grew up watching at times because I liked Griffey. I liked Ichiro. They were always fun to watch. It'd be nice to have them be relevant again. I understand the plights of an irrelevant franchise more than most. So I think it'd be fun to see them do well.
Gorgeous ballpark too. I've always enjoyed their ballpark. It used to be Safeco, but now I don't remember.
T-Mobile.
Is it T-Mobile now?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on and on to a team, Jordan, that it can get the Taylor. We should give a Taylor Twellman "What Are You Doing" award. This is the team of like, what are you doing? And I know exactly what they're doing. It's scummy. So sorry, Athletic fans. But you're losing Starling Marte. You're losing Mark Canha. You're losing Andrew Chafin, Yan Gomes, Jake Dykman, Josh Harrison, Sergio Romo to those Seattle Mariners, Matt Chapman, Matt Olson. Am I missing anybody else, Jordan? It feels like I could be at some point because they've pretty much sold everybody and their brothers.
It seems right. It seems like you got them all.
All right, let's see. Jordan, their key additions. Jordan, you want to guess at how many key additions I found? Are you looking at their notes? Are you cheating?
I see one, but so here's the thing. Yeah, I guess it is because they have not signed
that's what I was having a hard time finding anything on what they've signed.
They signed somebody in March, and it was Steven Vogt.
I think they signed, Jordan, a construction permit for Las Vegas. We'll get into that after. So, Jordan, like you've watched the A's way more than I have, probably. What is the what? Can you explain to? They lose Manaea too. Sorry, I forgot about Manaea. They just
that just happened, and guess what? He pitched 5 hours later for the Padres.
Yeah, traded Manaea. They were playing. Yeah, they were trading Manaea to the Padres to throw against them. It was like inter-team scrimmage. It was confusing. But again, like what is this? I could go on and on. They've lost what's his name too? Not Cole Bassett. It's his brother.
Chris Bassett.
Chris Bassett. There you go. So, what's going on? Why are they doing this? I don't get it.
This is what they do.
Yeah.
This is what they do. You know what? They'll probably be fine. They'll probably have a bad season, and then these guys they got from the trades will probably come up, and they'll be fine. They'll have a window for a couple years, and then they'll do the same thing over again. This is just how they do it. I think it has to be frustrating if you're an Oakland fan because you were at 86 wins. It's almost exactly like the Reds, who were on the precipice of a run, and then they say, never mind, let's move it out, right? Here's the thing. People got upset with the Orioles for trading 2 of their relievers, right? Relievers, one, that were old and not even that great, people are upset about. And not a word from Buster Olney at all about what the A's are doing because the A's just haven't lost 100 games. While that's true, They were at 86 wins. They were above 500 and decide to blow it up in a division with the aging Astros team, an up-and-coming Mariners team, an underperforming Angels team, and who knows how Texas is going to be. It just seems short-sighted. It seems short-sighted. They've made every other team, with all the trades they're doing, they've made almost every team in Major League Baseball better than themselves. But I can't fault them. This is how they do it, whatever. I just hope this doesn't lead to anything about this team moving at all. I want them to stay in Oakland. I think Oakland fans deserve to have at least one team. Golden State has moved over to the San Francisco side. You know, the Raiders have left. There isn't a lot of teams in Oakland, and it seems like they all keep trying to leave because they can't get a stadium. But maybe you should also invest enough in your team to make it show that it's worth having you around. I think people don't think it's worth it because these athletics don't even put a big product on the field when they can make a run. They end up selling everybody. Their payroll is now tied for how I think their payroll for this year is the same as it was in the early 90s when they had the highest payroll in baseball with 30 million. That's how much they've sold off this year.
So it looks like they did add Jed Lowry. That's a flash in the past. But like you said, I mean, when you're looking at this roster, like if you weren't a serious baseball fan and you're looking at this roster, like you wouldn't know half these people, or if you do know half these people, it was because they were good at one point way back in the day and times where I think, you're kind of looking back and going, wow, I mean, I remember when Stephen Piscotty was with the Cardinals and was playing well. I remember Tony Kemp on the Cubs. I remember Jed Lowry when he was with the Sox. Like there's guys on here that you will remember.
Well, Jed Lowry's been with them since last February. It says so. Actually, they must have re-signed him. I think.
Yeah, they re-signed him. They bring him back. Yeah.
The issue with them, real quick, is that they have Sean Murphy at catcher. One of the people they traded for with the Braves is Shea Langoliers, who's a top catcher prospect. It's going to be interesting to see if maybe they even move Sean Murphy at a certain point.
Yeah. I don't know. But their lineup looks like Tony Kemp leading off, Stephen Vogt second, Sean Murphy third, Seth Brown fourth, Jed Lowry fifth, Stephen Piscotty sixth, seventh, Elvis Andrus, and then eighth, Kevin Smith, ninth, Christian Pache. I don't know. It's not exciting, and I feel bad for Oakland fans. I think Jordan. I mean, I think the writing's more on the wall. Like I think it's more of we don't want a good product anymore. We want to move, and I feel like this was their way of saying, "Hey, move us so we can get out of here," because this mayor is never going to sign off on a new stadium in Oakland.
Aren't they near the end of that? Like they keep saying close. That this thing is close to being official, so I'm not so sure that's it. I guess we'll find out. But I would just put it. I mean, we've seen the A's do this so many times. I think it's just they probably, with the emergence of the Mariners and the Astros still being good, they probably thought, all right, we hit our window max. Let's get these people and sell high, right? And see how it works. I mean, the Olsen trade sent Langoliers and Christian Pache, who are now the top two or two out of the top three prospects for the A's come from when the Braves. They had to kind of replenish this farm system with these trades in order to get ready for another up and coming run is what I get from it. But this might be part of that domino effect where the mayor says, well, you're not even putting anything worth it. But I don't know. If you build it, they will come, right? That's kind of the thought process.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to build it. Like Vegas wants a team, and when Vegas wants a team, Vegas is going to get a team.
I hope they don't go to I don't actually see them moving. And the reason I don't see them moving is because MLB wants to expand, and the top places to expand right now are Nashville and Vegas. So they're not going to want to eat a market that could
potentially
get an expansion team that they can charge $3 billion for or something.
Yeah.
That's my view. I mean, I could be wrong.
No, it's a good point. No, it's a really good point. All right, let's move on. Let's hope Logan doesn't get anything else wrong. Angels. All right. Jordan, check me on this one. Key losses: Alex Cobb, Dylan Bundy, and Steve. Okay, good. I was going to say Oakland, but I was confused. Or heaven. Steven Cishek to the Nationals, Dylan Bundy to Minnesota. And then you got the key additions for the Angels. Some interesting ones, Jordan. I think all kind of like, what do you call it when you're I'll come up with it later. But the guys you take on as a project, you refurb, and then hope that you can kind of sell high maybe at some point, or
low risk, high reward.
Thank you. That's another one. That's another way to put it. I was thinking about, there's a word for it. It's something like something. I'll think of it later. Angels get Noah Syndergaard from the Mets. Aaron Loup, L-O-U-P. Is that how you say that? They get Ryan Tepera, Michael Lorenzen from the Reds, and Archie Bradley, comic book character. I'm making that up. It just sounds like a comic book character. But Archie. No, Archie, I think Archie was a top prospect at one point, correct?
I don't know. It'd be 6 years ago. He comes from Philly, though. That's where he was this time. Before that, he was on Arizona, and then he got traded to Philly in 2020. He was a pretty solid bullpen guy in Philly. So maybe that's something that they'll be missing. His stats, was like a 3.71 ERA. Yeah. I don't know. He hasn't been as good since 2019 or 2017, 2016 when he first came up, it looks like. But when you look at WAR and stuff.
All right. I got this team, I think, is a lot of fun too, Jordan. And you got to see them play live, except you didn't get to see Trout, did you? Because he was out, right?
Yes, he was injured.
Okay.
Yep. He only played 30 some games last year, I think.
I couldn't remember what point you went. Like I couldn't even remember what date. Okay, was it later?
End of August, and he played 36 games last year.
Right. So I mean, just looking at this lineup, man, I'd go see this team play. Like this is a lot of fun. I kind of want to see when they're coming over to Tampa to see if I can go over the game there, since they're only about 50 some minutes from me. But they got Shohei Ohtani leading off, Mike Trout batting second, Jared Walsh at third, Anthony Rendon batting fourth, Max Stassi batting fifth, left field, Brandon Marsh hitting sixth, Joe Adell batting seventh, not any relation to Adele the singer, Tyler Wade second base, and then David Fletcher shortstop, currently on the Lovable Losers fantasy team over there at the Extra Inning Baseball Show with Logan Stump. So looking like Dave might. I'm really high on him too. Like I've read a lot of stuff about him just because I'm interested and fascinated with Joe Madden and his antics. And he loves David Fletcher. So I'm interested to kind of see how that pans out this year. But Jordan, you got to see this lineup live. And a lot of them actually were hurt. I'm guessing at some point where you didn't really get to see much of this. But I mean, if you're looking at this, Fangraphs has the first four hitters in this lineup, Jordan, projected 40 home runs, 34 home runs, and 22. That's between Shohei, Mike Trout, Jared Walsh, and Anthony Rendon. Is there a more potent top four if they stay healthy?
It's pretty good.
Dodgers, maybe?
Yeah, definitely the Dodgers and Phillies, even the Phillies top five.
Yeah, really that's great. True. That's true.
But I would say, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, they're the top two best players in baseball on how you want to rank those. But most people will agree with that.
I agree with that. Most people.
Except for that lady on MLB Network. I forget what her name is. Rizzo.
Is it Alana Rizzo?
Yeah. She doesn't believe that Shohei can be a top player because he's a pitcher. Which even if he didn't hit, pitchers can still be the best player in the league. But anyway,
he's one of the top pitchers too. I don't get this argument.
He's one of the top pitchers, and he also hits like 40 home runs. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Fangraphs has Ohtani and Trout projected for 40 home runs. So if you get 80 home runs out of those two, you're doing pretty good. Jared Walsh is projected for 34 if everything stays healthy. So that's pretty good. I think what you want to watch out for is Brandon Marsh. He played center when Trout filled in. When Trout was injured, he filled in for Trout. They really like him. They really think he's going to be good. So much so that at some point, Trout may have to move from center field. That's how confident they are in Brandon Marsh. Now, it's not going to be this year. Trout's already kind of shot that down after it kind of leaked to the press. I don't really know what's going on there. But this is a pretty good lineup. Anthony Rendon coming over from the Nats. I mean, I don't know. He's going to hit 20 bombs probably as well. So top 4 is really good. The issue is staying healthy, and I think what their main issue has always been is pitching.
Yes.
Shohei Ohtani, obviously they're number 1. Patrick Sandoval is projected to make the starting rotation. Noah Syndergaard is projected to make it, but look, he's always hurt. Jose Suarez and then Michael Lorenzen and Reed Detmers is projected for a 6-man rotation. Remember, they go as 6 because Ohtani's not always going to pitch every 5 games. So that's what you're looking at. Projection-wise for Fangraphs, only one of them is projected for an ERA under 4, and that's Shohei. So if that is the case, then I'm not going to be super high on this pitching staff, but I think they're going to be fun to watch because of Shohei, Mike Trout if he's healthy, Jared Walsh, Rendon. Keep an eye on Brandon Marsh for sure. And that's what I really have to say about this team.
It's just shocking to me that Mike Trout has only had 3 games in the postseason in his career.
Yes.
Like that just should not happen. And now, Jordan, like you said, and you said it, and I totally agree with you, they have the best 2 players in baseball. The best 2. Like, how does that happen? Like, and part of it's ownership, part of it's luck, part of it's just not getting the right piece at the right time. But this staff is so underwhelming. Like Noah Syndergaard, people are going to be like, oh, that's a great, like, but if you've watched any of the National League or know anything about baseball, the guy's not played a full year. I can't remember the last time he played a full year.
No.
Like, I think it was 2017 or 2016, maybe. Like, it's been that long. Like, it's been a long time, I feel, since he's had full, clean slate of health. And and while he was healthy, he was good. But like you said, Jordan, I mean, when Shohei, kudos to Shohei for being one of the best pitchers in baseball and one of the best hitters in baseball, one of the best players to ever play this game. But like, you can't do this. Like, Michael Lorenzen is decent, but like that's not a good enough signing over the offseason to really just pluck this into being one of the best teams in the whole league. It's too bad because I feel like Mike Trout want to be one of those players, Jordan, kind of like, I guess, Ichiro's like this too. Like you just never got to see him in postseason baseball. That's a damn shame because, like, could you imagine Mike Trout on like the Dodgers and playing in that outfield? That'd be so much fun to watch in postseason. And that's why the sport struggles. They seem like they have more guys in this sport, more so than any other sport because of the way contracts work, that they just put on an island and you never get to see them play. And it's too bad. It really is.
Here's the good thing. Trout is only 29.
That's wild.
He's younger than me, and he's been playing professionally for like 10 or more years, okay? Yeah. So there's still time for him. When you look at some of these players that don't even break into the big leagues until 24, 25.
Even 30 now. It's
30 at times if they're a journeyman. I think he'll be fine. The issue becomes, will they ever actually compete? Because
no.
The issue, right? Here's the issue. Ohtani contract is up in 2024. Is he going to stick around?
That's a good point.
I can't see it. He is the biggest face in baseball.
He's going to be an Oriole. I mean, there's no doubt.
He's going to be an Oriole. I did that in my MLB The Show, by the way, when he was a free agent. And it looked good. 17 looked really good in orange and black.
Especially in
And I
Canada.
don't mean San Francisco. I mean over here. But I think he might go somewhere that is really going to make a push. He's so valuable. He's going to get one of the biggest contracts of all time, no matter what his age is, because he's going to end up being a pitcher and a DH for you, and potentially in the field as well if you need him in like outfield. But he's mostly going to DH, and he's going to be a pitcher for you every 6 days, and somebody that you can count on to go out there and have, a good display. And he's going to bring attention to your ball club every single game he's out there. How many people look up highlights of the Angels when Shohei's playing? It's a lot. I put on so many Angels games last year to watch him. He's my favorite baseball player right now. He's my favorite current baseball player because he's just, what he's doing is amazing, and we don't talk about it enough. I don't think that for some reason he has haters out there. Whatever, just enjoy that you're seeing somebody do something that nobody has ever done in this sport at all. We talk about how Babe Ruth was a pitcher and also hit home runs. He wasn't pitching that much when he was on the Yankees, right? It was mainly when he was on the Red Sox. And he wasn't really juggling both of these things. What this guy's doing is just absolutely amazing. And I just can't state that enough. And I wish people would just open their eyes and stop trying to say that it isn't that special, because it really is. It really is just one of the most amazing things I've ever laid eyes on. Trout started playing in 2011, by the way, at age 19. He's 29 years old, turning 30 this year. You also talked about when if you want to go see them play in Tampa. I looked it up for you. August 22nd through August 25th, 4-game series.
Ooh.
Yeah, 4 chances, Logan.
Is that a weekend series?
No, it is not, unfortunately. It is Monday through Thursday, so I suggest call out of work and go catch either the 1 o'clock game or wait and see what game he's going to pitch in and go there. But
I'm determined.
If you're in the Tampa region, anybody listening, get out there to see a Shohei Ohtani game for sure.
We'll definitely do it.
And I'm still checking to see. I'm trying to find the stats for the 2011 Angels playoff run with Trout.
He was .083. He had a home run.
Yeah, he's got 1 hit, right?
Yeah. I think it was a home run too.
In the playoffs. Like, that is so sad. That is so sad. That
It's
team
criminal.
back then, though, was really good. I mean, Jeff Matthias, Mark Trumbo, Howie Kendrick, Eric Ibar, Alberto Calespo, Vernon Wells, Torrey Hunter, Bobby Abreu. Mike Trout was like a bench option for some of the year. He played in 40 games that year.
Was Mike Scioscia still there?
I believe he was the manager. I can check that real quick. It was, Mike Scioscia. Yeah. Mike Scioscia, if I say that right. I can never say it.
Yeah, Scioscia.
There you go. Yeah. I said it.
Yeah.
I get in my head with it because of the C's.
Me too.
But yeah.
There's a couple people like that.
And even then, the year that they made the playoffs, by the way, record was 86-76.
Wow. So not even a great playoff team. Yikes.
No.
All right. Ranger danger. Okay. They go in to the offseason, Jordan, and they made a splash. Like, I'd give it to them. Kudos to this front office. They lose Nick Martinez. They lose Jordan Lyles. There are probably other people, Jordan, so if you want to go back and correct me if I'm wrong on that, because I can't quickly get to Fangraphs. They lose those 2. They add Corey Seager, not the other Kyle. Marcus Semien, second baseman. John Gray, Brad Miller, Garrett Richards, Cole Calhoun, right fielder, Martin Perez, or Martin Perez. I don't know how you say that, but it's a starting pitcher. And Jordan, the Texas Rangers go into the offseason and add a heck of a threat up the middle. You got 2 of the best middle infielders in this league, I think, as far as especially performances last year. two guys that I think can kind of cornerstone this franchise, and now they're building something. They go out and trade Joey Gallo last year. It looked like all hell was breaking loose in Texas, and then they go add nice pieces. And I do know they have some good-looking minor leaguers coming up, and I think a pretty highly touted minor league system. So maybe the Rangers are competitive this year. They did lose 102 games last year.
They'll be competitive. They're not going to lose 102 ball games. I'll tell you that.
I'd hope not.
If they do, then there's some big problems. What I would say, right, is when we look at this, is again that this is more of a move for the next year, not this year.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that is because they're pitching, right? Their pitching is projected starting rotation: John Gray, Martin Perez, Dane Dunning, Taylor Hearn, and Spencer Howard. All of these players on Fangraphs rankings, by the way, are in the 4 and 5 ERAs. That's going to be kind of their biggest issue. I think, look, they signed Simeon and Seager for long deals, right? So they have them locked down to kind of buy into this. And they needed those two. Because if you look at their rankings in hitting last year, is 29 in average, 30 on base percentage, and 30 in OPS, 28 in runs, 26 in home runs. But guess what? They were really good at stealing some bags with 4th ranking for stolen bases. Their pitching was almost as bad: 28 ERA, 23 WHIP, 27 Ks per 9, 23 hits per 9, 29 in home runs per 9 innings. So I think the hitting will improve. The hitting will be better. The pitching is going to be the big question mark, and what they'll probably look to improve, because I don't even think there's that many pitching free agents this year. I don't know what's projected for next year, but I think it's something that they will be looking for into next year.
They got Jack Leiter coming up, Al Leiter's son. So if you guys know who Al Leiter is, flash in the past, I think was a Met. He was also maybe a Texas Ranger at one point. I don't remember if he ever played with Texas. I know he played for the Phillies.
He was a Met. He pitched during 9/11 game.
Yeah,
like the game after game after back from 9/11.
I want to say he pitched with the Phillies, maybe, or was that it was just John Lieber? I always get the two confused as to where they ended up after the Mets. I don't know, but anyway. Jack Leiter, they've got the number 9th ranked farm system, Jordan, which is really good. You want to be in that top 10 because I think that ultimately ends up being a chance to be a top 10 team over the next couple of years.
Are they ranked 9th? I know they are in Pipeline. Is that what they're ranked on Fangraphs?
It's a Pipeline, yes.
Okay, Pipeline.
I don't know what they're on Fangraphs.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that on Fangraphs and on I found it on Pipeline, but yeah. Don't know how to go find this, but yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, this is a team I think that is exciting. Like you said, Jordan, this is a play for 2023 and beyond. 2022, I think you wanted to see a competitive team. I think you want to see what some of these younger arms have, like a Jack Leiter. At this point, I think you pull him up. Spencer Howard, 25-year-old, turning 26 soon. They got Taylor Hearn at the bottom of that rotation, 27, turning 28 soon. They got a 27-year-old and Dane Dunning. Like, those are young arms that I think you want to see. All right, can they be, these guys that are in the middle of these rotations, maybe break into the top of these rotations? Can we get guys to play well? Can John Gray pitch well where he becomes enticing? Maybe, you flip some. Like, this is that point in, I think, a team's life or life or whatever it might be of their next coming competitive team where you want to take what you do, and if they're successful and they're younger or they're older players, they're like 30s, 35, 32, 33, you flip them for something that's going to be better. And I think something that's going to be more enticing for years coming up, because I think if you lock down Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, I mean, that's a clear indication to the rest of the team that we intend to be competitive over the next couple of years, and then playoff contention, and then maybe World Series contention. But yeah, no, I like this team in the direction that they're headed. But other than that, I mean, I don't really have too much to say about the Rangers. Their lineup reads Sorry, I scrolled past it. Brad Miller, Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Mitch Garver, a nice hitting catcher, which you don't often see, that often. 23 home runs, pretty good. Nathaniel Lowe, Adolis Garcia, Cole Calhoun, Willie Calhoun, and Andy Ibanez. So pretty decent players as far as that lineup's concerned. I mean, there's some guys that I think are going to stick around and be part of this core group for a while. So I think some pretty interesting pieces. But anything on the Rangers before we move on into the NL West?
No, that's pretty much it. Before we move to the NL West, do we give predictions now or do we?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Okay. Yeah. All right, Jordan.
AL West for Logan.
Let's do it.
Put yours up first.
I'm excited. Ta-da!
Got the Astros in first, the Mariners in second, the Angels in third, Texas in fourth, with the A's in fifth.
Not too much to say. We'll get into our playoff predictions at the end of this show because it'll be our final wrap up, I guess. And yeah, I know I threw that at you, didn't you? Forgot, didn't you? So Jordan, be thinking about that as we're going through the NL West. It should be
here we go.
easy.
Here's the AL West for me. I flipped two of the spots. I have the Mariners winning the division with Houston in second, Angels in third, Texas in fourth, and Oakland in fifth.
Hey, I like variety, man. This is fun. I'm rooting for them. I really am. Like, I really hope the Mariners do plug that first spot just because I'm tired of the Astros. Like, I'm tired. I want some variety, and we're not getting any variety. It just goes through Houston. It's not fun. So, all right. You ready?
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
NL West, right?
The AL NL West. They combine them. No, but yes, the NL West, Jordan. Last year, San Francisco Giants 107-55 lost to the Dodgers in the NLDS. Los Angeles Dodgers 106-56 lost in the NLCS to the Bravos. The San Diego Padres 79-83. Jordan, I put this stat on here because you and I talked about this last year.
We both put the same stat on there. Well, different stat, but did you see it? I put my list above yours, so mine's above yours. Because you did talk about this, but I wanted to highlight something else about earlier in the year too. But go ahead first.
I had not even noticed that yet. Oh, that's awesome. But the San Diego Padres, Jordan, you and I both put was the best team in May, right? So you put that best team in May, 34-20 at the time, would only win 45 more out of the 108. I had a 66-49 record in August and went 13-34 to end the season. Both are very damning stats.
Well, they are. I mean, especially when you look at from May to August, right? Mm-hmm. They went 32-29, so they were closer to a 500 ball club.
Yeah.
And then from from the rest of the season on, they played well below 500 when you put 13-34. But if you look at 45 out of 108 wins, that's damning as well. I mean, they really fell off look, the first 2 months of the season up until May 30th. We're all like, oh my God, the Padres are fun. The Giants are fun. The Dodgers are fun. This division is so much fun. And any Dodger, I remember watching a game that went like 16 innings, and the Dodgers were facing the Padres, and it had playoff atmosphere. Playoff atmosphere, Logan. Everyone was like, "This is a preview of the NLCS." It did not work that way. The wheels came off so hard.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen as a sports fan, how quickly it unraveled. I mean, hell, people were fighting in the dugout. You and I always get confused as to who it was. We forget. But I know it was Fernando Tatis getting involved with somebody.
Well, it was Machado and Tatis. It wasn't so much a fight. Yeah. It was Machado telling him, like, dude, stop.
Right.
Back off.
Right.
They're bros, you know?
Yeah, they like each other. Yeah, they like each other. But it's still like, I mean, it felt like that was frustration. It was a frustration buildup of like we've sucked, like we
and
really
then he got
sucked.
Injured.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, we haven't. Yeah.
It got even worse for them.
Yes, and it's continued to get worse. A little bit better though, because they added somebody today or yesterday or the day before, whatever. I'm losing track of my days. the Rockies 74 and 87, Diamondbacks 52 and 110. They were trying their damnedest to be the worst team, and maybe they're still on that path. We'll talk about it.
Well, this is what I was going to say, but not about the Diamondbacks real quick. The Padres only finished 5 games ahead of the Rockies, the team that everybody's like, why would Chris Bryant even go there? And you have the Padres just 5 games above them. It was a brutal fall from grace. Here's a funny story my dad told me once. All right. My dad's an Orioles fan. He liked the Padres growing up too, because he was on like their little league team was the Padres. And he loved the old style uniforms they wear now with the brown,
the camo. Yeah.
Well, not the camo, but it was brown.
Like the brown colors.
Brown and gold.
Yeah.
Right. And he made a bet with somebody that he works with or something, or at school or whatever, that was the Padres are going to win a World Series before the Orioles, right? And when they were at 30 and 24, I was telling my dad, like, hey, that's looking pretty good, right? Because they had not won a World Series ever, the Padres. And the Orioles haven't won one since 83. So this bet happens after 83, right? Probably happened in the 90s or whatever. And they just fell apart. And I'm wondering if this bet one is ever going to come to conclusion, right? Because the Orioles don't look near it either. But it's just a funny story that if anybody's interested in how my dad's bet goes, keep an eye on how the Padres and Orioles do throughout the next few years.
Paying up from when they're 90 in the home and they're going, hey, you got to buy me a Jello for losing that bet. All right, so key, where are we? I'm so lost. Key losses. Okay, let's go with that.
For the Giants. Yep.
Right. Key losses for the Giants. Chris Bryant to Colorado. Kevin Gausman to Toronto, your former. Donovan Solano, Cincinnati Reds. Johnny Cueto to the White Sox. And Jose Quintana, a lot of Cubs there. Pittsburgh. Jordan, their key additions. Carlos Rendon, I think is how you say that. It's always it's spelled weird, and they pronounce it Rendon, I think, or they did when he was a Sox. Alex Cobb, Jock Peterson, Matt Boyd. If they traded for anybody, I'm missing them. But that being said, Jordan, what do you think? Is this a 117 or 107 win team this year, or is this team going to regress kind of back towards the mean?
I don't think they're a 107 win team.
Yeah.
I think some of it had to do with some luck last year. Luck that ended up not working in their favor because some of their pitchers were on 1 year deals that they ended up, losing. They lose Chris Bryant, who they traded for. They did make a trade, Luke Williams with Philly in March. They have him slotted in as a bench infield outfielder. So his service time is not even a full year yet. So who knows what they have there? He's 25 years old, though. And then they also Jason Vossler, who's in the bench as well. And his service time is less than a year. He's 28 years old. Don't really know how much he'll contribute. They have them slotted in for only 20-some plate appearances, both of them, for the course of the season.
Another key loss, but Buster Posey.
Yes, retired.
I forgot because we covered it. We covered it when we were talking playoffs last year.
And that's going to be a big loss.
Massive.
Here's the lineup as projected right now. You have Mike Yastrzemski, right? Former Oriole as well. Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, got the two Brandons. Darren Ruff, Jock Peterson, Wilmer Flores, Tyrio Estrada, Steven Duggar, and Joey Bart. Joey Bart being the catcher for them now that Buster's gone. And their projected starting rotation, Logan Webb, Carlos Rodon, Anthony DeSclafani. There you go.
Former Red.
Alex Wood and Alex Cobb.
Wow, they really market the corners on different names, like Alex.
Yeah, Brandon and Alex, they have locked down. I don't like the Alex Cobb signing. He's a former Oriole. I don't think he did well at LA that much either.
No, he did not.
He's not going to be like a Gausman that's going to somehow turn it around. He's 34 years old.
I was going to ask you about that.
The rest of their staff is I think is fine. I think they'll be fine there, but I think Alex Cobb is going to be the weak link of that.
I was going to ask you about that because you have seen Alex Cobb up close and personal because I think he was once a Ray, once a. What did you say? He was an Oriole?
Yeah, he was an Oriole.
Okay.
He's the most expensive pitcher we've ever.
That's after he came from Tampa, right? When he was really good in Tampa, because the Cubs were looking at him. I remember the name, and then he never ended up in the National League until the Dodger move. So, it was like, okay, well, I kind of just lost track of him when he goes to the AL.
Yeah, Orioles got him in 2018, 2019, and 2020, and we traded him to, I believe we traded him to the Angels last year before the season started. We had a 4-year deal with him, and he was on our team for 3 years. His ERA as sorry,
what'd you do?
So his ERA for 2019, where he only pitched 3 games, I guess, because he was injured, was a 10.95. So I was laughing at that. And then I saw it was only 3 games, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But I was still really confused. I was like, "Oh, no wonder he sucked." 2020 with 10 games was a 6.37 ERA. Okay, last year he pitched a 4.30. I was looking at xERA, but 3.76 for when he was an Angel last year. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna do much for him. Watch him turn it on. I
was gonna say no giant magic. Are you buying the giant magic that they usually have with starting pitching this year?
Everybody but Cobb. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I just want to know. I mean, Logan Webb, Cy Young candidate. I think he's pretty high up there. He has some stuff that I think not many people do have, and that name always has done well. Brendan Webb, if you remember that name from the Diamondbacks a while ago. But yeah, it just seems like they figure it out though all the time with these guys that just, like you said, Jordan, that's what bit them in the butt. They signed a bunch of dudes on 1-year contracts and they just all panned out. It was like, oh, well, that worked pretty well. This year, right. All right. So anything else you kind of want to go through? I mean, they got a good lineup as far as Brandon Belton, Brandon Crawford, Darren Ruff's pretty good. Jock Peterson hit the cover of the baseball last year in the playoffs. But man, that is an aging. Did you see the ages on that? There's not anybody under 20 except the 3 at the bottom. That's wild to me.
And they're mid-20s.
Yeah,
they're mid-20s. But yeah, I mean, even Yastrzemski, who's only been on a 2-year service time, is 31 years old.
Not to be mistaken with Carl Yastrzemski.
No, it's his grandfather.
I was going to say grandfather, grandson. Son? I was trying to do the time in the math.
Carl's his grandfather. Yes, he is the grandson. Yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah, I didn't think. Well, never mind. Let's not get into it. Okay, so San Francisco Giants. Let's move on to the fun. All right, the Dodgers. Jordan,
this lineup.
Did they have the best offseason before we get into the transaction? Did they have the best offseason?
Off season, no. I mean, they only signed Freeman, right?
Right.
And
one
Alberto, Andrew Heaney, who's not great. I would say, I mean, if you're going off of the best off season, I would say no.
Okay.
But did they add the biggest piece? Probably. That's what I would probably say. Adding Freddie Freeman is great, though. Still, he's 32.
Oh, Craig Kimbrell is not a name on this list as well. That's why I was asking big offseason.
Oh, yeah, they just made that trade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a trade with the White Sox. Yeah, if you're including trades, that's a pretty big one. I don't know. I think what they've done is they've made this pretty much win the World Series or you failed. With some of these moves, bringing in and adding a Freddie Freeman, bringing in Craig Kimbrell, is great. I do worry about Andrew Heaney. I know Yankee fans did not like him last year, and I think he was on the Angels before that.
Yes, he was. That's correct.
Yes, and he didn't do so hot there. So I would say if he's going to slot in as originally, I think he was a relief pitcher at times for the Yankees, but they have him slotted in as a 5th starter on Fangraphs. I would worry about that. I think everything else will be fine. When you look at Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias, Tony Gonsolin, even, I think they'll be fine there. And then their bullpen is just great too. They add Tyler Anderson to it from Seattle. They add Daniel Hudson from the Padres and Kimbrel that we just talked about, and they also still have Blake Trainin, and just. They lose. They do lose. Oh, David Price is slotted in as a reliever.
Mad Max.
They also do lose. They lose Scherzer. They also lose Jansen. Jansen goes to the Dodgers, who probably have the best bullpen in baseball.
Not the Braves, right?
The Braves do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went to the Braves. You said he went to the Dodgers.
Oh, did I? All right.
Yeah, he went to the Dodgers. Yeah.
They have Trevor Bauer if he ever comes off the list too, I guess, right?
And he stops being an idiot. Like, that's ultimately what it is. Like, the dude needs to stop being his clown assery is off the charts. It's just
so. Here's their lineup: Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Trey Turner, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Will Smith, Chris Taylor, who's my favorite Dodger, by the way. I love Chris Taylor. Cody Bellinger and Gavin Lux. Bellinger is the one to look out for too, because he just cannot get his swing going. He had like 19 straight strikeouts or something in spring training, something ridiculous like that. I'd be worried about him if I'm a Dodger fan. He's only 26, but that might be a new scenery type of guy at some point.
Jordan, over or under on how many times the Will Smith meme is brought up every time that the catcher Will Smith heads to the mound to talk to somebody about a certain pitch issue or something like that. Like what are we going over under? How many memes? We going 100?
100. Yeah, 100. Because it could also be like, what you could do too is if he hits a home run, you can edit it to where Will Smith is smacking the ball, right? Like you can do so many things with that meme of Will Smith, the actor smacking Chris Rock, but you can also just make it Will Smith, the catcher smacking the ball. So, or, if there is some sort of, if God forbid he gets plunked by a pitch and charges the mound, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
That would be one as well. But definitely, it's definitely going to be a thing.
Scariest lineup that we've seen.
Yeah.
Ever? Like, I don't remember one that was as scary. Like, ever. In my time watching baseball, I don't remember one like this. I thought they were roster last year.
I do think some of the 90s, like the 90 Yankees.
I guess the Reds back in the day would have been like that. The big red machine. Like that, that would have been something scary. The Cubs had something similar to that in 2016, but nothing you didn't like go 1 through 9. Like, you did not have like 3 like silver slugger, platinum sluggers, whatever they call them. Like, you didn't have that. And Trey Turner,
their projected averages for all of these players is 245 and above.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't even have like some guy hitting 216 or 230. You have you have everybody at 245 or above in projections, and I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case.
Look at those home run projections: 30, 33, 27, 34, 22, 28, 21, 26.
One of them projected under 20 with Gavin Lux. So
they should trade him. They really should, to get a second baseman that can hit. Good
so
Lord.
To be honest, I probably bet on Bellinger not hitting 26.
Yeah. Next offseason, Jordan, they sign Carlos Correa, and then it's over, right? Then it's just we just pack it all in.
That's the thing. Trey Turner is a free agent, right?
Yeah.
After this year.
Yikes.
So they could go get Correa.
Good.
But because I'm assuming Trey Turner is not accepting any contract right now. He's going to test free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to become a Baltimore Oriole next year.
Okay, I could actually see this one.
I would love Trey Turner.
He spent time in Washington. He probably has a house. Like, I could see that. I could totally see that. Where's he from?
He is from, where was he born? Tell me where he was born.
Please say Maryland.
No, he wasn't from Maryland. I'm trying to find it. I don't think Fangraphs tells me where he was born. New
York.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. He was born in Florida.
So that's close to Maryland.
Right. You go to Disney. Disney's in Florida. Trey Turner probably went to Disney. There's the connection, right?
Yeah, I probably ran into him before.
Yeah, Boynton Beach. I think that's where the Orioles are close to in spring training, right? So he's seen that facility. I don't know either. I'm just guessing.
I will say I did get to see him in person play. So there you go. That's the link right there. I went and saw the Nats play the O's in May, and saw Ryan Mountcastle hit a grand slam. By the way, Orioles still lost the game. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the Dodgers, right? Do we have to talk too much more about them? I think.
No, God, it's going to speak for themselves. I will say though, actually, one last question. Is this one of those franchises that wins one World Series, and we kind of look back at this team and go, "How did that happen? Like, how did you not win more than that?"
Yeah, if they don't win a normal one, I think people will kind of give them a hard time. Though it is really hard to win a World Series. If you look at even all the Yankee teams that spent all the money, they didn't get as many as most people thought they should.
The beauty of baseball.
It's just really hard. Really hard to win a World Series in baseball.
Yeah, but it's truly the beauty of it. Like, you can't just buy a championship like you can in other sports. All right, let's do Padres.
Basketball, you put 4 or 5 stars on a team and you get 2 to 3 rings. We already mentioned the Angels have 2 of the best players in baseball and are going nowhere fast.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that would happen in other sports. So, all right, Padres, Jordan, and we kind of alluded to some of their moves earlier, but they get rid of Mark Melancon. He heads off to Arizona. Tommy Pham to Cincinnati. Daniel Hudson to the Dodgers. Matthew Strahm to Boston, and Victor Caratini just traded a couple of hours ago to Milwaukee. So they're going to have to bring in a new catcher, and they did swap like for like. The Padres bring in Sean Manaea, who was with the Athletics. We kind of alluded to that before. Nick Martinez, Luis Garcia, and Brett Sullivan was who came over in the trade with Victor Caratini. A swap for catchers, I guess a change of scenery. They also get cash considerations, I believe, from the the Brewers get cash considerations, I think, which is he's always traded. It's kind of weird that he doesn't ever stay put cash considerations. He seems to be on different teams. But yeah, no, joking aside, Jordan, the Padres, you talked about this earlier and we were joking about it just because of those stats that we put on. But I mean, is there really concern? Because I mean, you're going to be missing Fernando Tatis. What was it for the first, is it 2 months of the season?
Something like that.
I think it was something like that.
Let me see. It should say it here. Well, he had surgery on 3/16.
I think it was 60-day thing.
Yeah, so he's probably missing until, I would say,
Summer.
And then he's going to have to gear up too. So you're probably looking at a June. Yeah.
June, July. All right. So with that being said, though, Jordan, I mean, you're looking at this roster. Are you that's a huge loss in the middle of their lineup. A run producer hits the ball hard, gets on base, steals bases, scores runs, solid contact guy at times.
Big guy hits tons of home runs.
Yeah. Like what? Like I'm looking at this and going, yeah, they could be in some trouble still. Like with that missing out of their lineup, I'm looking. They're not better than the Dodgers for sure.
By the way, he had 42 home runs last year.
Yikes. Because what? They're not better than the Dodgers?
He only played 130 games and he hit 42 bombs. Look, it's a big hole. If they can hold it down until like June when he comes back, they'll be fine. I think they want to. Obviously, Hosmer is kind of even with Tatis out, the biggest hole in the lineup is probably Hosmer.
Yeah.
He hasn't been good, right? But they do bring over Luke Voit from the Yankees. He's probably going to, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to play him more at first. They have it DH as Fangraphs, but I'm assuming at some point Voigt's probably going to play first more than Hosmer. Hosmer probably DHs unless they can get somebody to eat salary. It sounds like they were almost getting the Mets to do that, and then that trade was off. Not sure what happened there. You still have Manny Machado, 29 years old. always bats like 270 or higher. So he'll be fine. Jake Cronenworth will be fine. Luke Voigt will they have batting cleanup. So you're adding some more pop in the bat there. Then you're going to have a down with Eric Hosmer, Will Myers, Austin Nola, Jerks, and Profar. And then they have CJ Abrams, that was a non-roster invitee, as making the shortstop team here. He's 21 years old, drafted by the Padres. Not a big power guy, though, but maybe he'll have some better defense. That was Tatis's biggest weakness, was the defense last year. You have Trent Grisham leading it off before Machado. For the starting rotation, I like this a lot. Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, Sean Manaea, Nick Martinez, Blake Snell. I like that. Blake Snell, you're going to look to hopefully rebound. He just hasn't really been the same since he became a Padre, or after he was taken out of the World Series game by Kevin Cash, right? Like did that send him into a spiral? Probably not. But, it's one of those things for the Padres where I don't think they're as deep enough as they were last year. Even Tommy Pham wasn't great, but I mean, he was out there for them. I don't know. What do you think? I don't really think that they're probably going to be up to snuff here.
They do add a big acquisition in Bob Melvin. We also didn't mention that, but they have Bob Melvin coming in. However, that being said, I mean, he did coach well with the Athletics, and I feel like a lot of the Athletics still, I mean, like, you're getting a good team because they run the statistics. They do what they need. When the Athletics are good, it's a good team because you just put it out there as if the advanced stats would say, and that's how you run this team. This team is more like, this is a pitcher heavy, great rotation kind of team. And then I think the offense is what is kind of a lot left to be desired. And I think that without Tatis, I do think this lineup is going to hit some ruts. Like I do think that in the early days, like you said, Jordan, I think if they can stay around 500 without Tatis, then I call it a success, because you can't get behind these other two teams, because the Giants time in and time out make you remember that no matter who's on the roster, they're going to be a good team. They're going to be a playoff contending team. The Dodgers are going to be the best team in the division. Like, you can't lose that much ground, especially with how good we didn't even kind of talked about the other divisions in relation to this. But even though they add an extra wildcard team, Jordan, I think that extra wildcard team might be coming out of the NL East this year. You and I talked about how top heavy the NL East is. And the AL East. So we were, I think you're right on. Like, I think you're spot on. It's kind of a lackluster offense compared to the top three arms that they now have sitting on their rotation. I don't know. Keep afloat, stay around 500, and then when Tatis gets back, make a run. You got a good manager. I don't think the meltdown's coming. So if you can kind of stay atop this division, I think you'll get one of the wild card spots.
Rockies?
Let's do it. All right. So the Rockies, Jordan, they are losing Trevor Story, John Gray, Chris Owings. If they traded anybody, that'll be fun. Key additions. So far, Chris Bryant, Jose Iglesias, Alex Colon, Chad Kuhl. Such a cool name.
They did add somebody. They added Randall Grichuk, in a trade. And they lost I forget his name. We talked about him in the last preview. I'm trying to find it here. That who he was traded for, but yeah, Randall Grichuk comes in from Toronto.
Oh, that's right. They did trade. No, I can't remember.
Tapia.
Yeah, that's who it was. Big loss. Like, that's a pretty decent loss. But they're bringing in KB. Like, question mark. You look at Fangraphs, and you're looking at this Colorado team, and like you said, they only finished 5 games below that San Diego Padre team that was, crushing the world in the early stages of the season. But I mean, if you look at this roster, it's really hard to kind of gauge stats because of that climate they play in. But Jordan, anything stick out to you? Chris Bryant's obviously a huge signing. Good for him. Go get the bag. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I think that it's pretty easily stated that this isn't a team that you really look at and go, wow, this is a team that contends.
I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Charlie Blackmon, Chris Bryant, Ryan McMahon, CJ Cron, Leicester City's Brendan Rodgers, Randall Gerchuk, Jose Iglesias, Sam Hilliard, Elias Diaz. I mean, they're projected to all hit. Most of them are going to hit 250 or above, except for Sam Hilliard. The pitching is a big problem because they're all projected to hit 500. I mean, ERA, pitch 500 ERA, which might be the atmosphere, right? Like that, It's really hard to pitch there. But I think the lineup will be fine. They're going to win games. I could see them winning the same amount of games, 74, maybe a couple more.
Yeah.
But they're not going to contend for a playoff spot. But they probably won't be mathematically eliminated until that last wild card spot's locked up near the end of the year.
Yeah.
Last month of the year. They'll probably be mathematically in it, but I'm not sure if they'll pass the eye test.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, Kyle Freeland is not a top of the line starter and projected at a 5.19 ERA. And again, those are all skewed towards the fact that they play in a park that, you and I could go hit one out of. But yeah, no, I'm in agreement. The lineup could be fun to watch, but there's just not much there. And then you got the whole issue with, you didn't want Nolan Arenado. You didn't want Trevor Story. You do want Chris Bryant. You won't want Chris Bryant in 2 years. And I think that's how much he can opt out after 2 or 3. I can't remember if he's got an opt-out. Actually, you know what? I think you're right, because he was one that was like, I just want to take it. And he's got no trade clause. I think he's got no trade clause.
No opt-outs.
I don't know. I just don't know what to make of this team. We're going to have to see what happens during the season because, again, I just think there's just too many question marks here. Can that offense be reliant upon Chris Bryant being any kind of, of a shell of himself? Because that oftentimes has been the issue with Chris. As years have gone on, he's kind of, declined in a way. And it's kind of sad because they thought he'd be a world beater, but never quite turned out that way after 2017. So any more on the Rockies before we move on?
No, we're running along. Let's hit the Diamondbacks.
All right, Diamondbacks, let's do it. Mark Melancon in, Ian Kennedy in, Zach Davies back in. They did lose Kyle Calhoun and Taylor Clark. Jordan, this team lost 106 or 100 and was it 100 games? 110 games. Yeah.
They had the same record as the Orioles. Yeah. The Orioles just edged them out for that first round pick, pick.
110 losses, 52 wins. They added some good reliever arms, I guess. They added Zach Davies back, who had been there before, but nothing really like eye-popping. Looking at their lineup and their pitching staff.
Zach Davies hasn't been there. He was a Brewer.
Oh, that's right. He was a Brewer. That's right. It was a different Davies. It was.
He also used to be an Oriole. Go figure.
Did he really?
Somebody. Yeah, we drafted him. He was somebody that I wanted to re-sign now to have some sort of starting pitching. I like that they made some signings for their starting pitchings, right? Signing Zach Davies is nice. They have Mad Bomb still. He's not really the same. They have Mark Melancon in the bullpen. What I think, though, is looking at this lineup here is this might be the worst team in baseball. I know people will say the Orioles. I get that. But the Orioles have prospects coming up that are going to hit the ground this year. I see 2 guys maybe projected for the Diamondbacks this year. It looks like Alec Thomas and Geraldo Perdomo. One's a shortstop, one's an outfielder. That could help them, but I just don't know. I don't know if it's enough. You know, the Orioles have some starting pitching that's coming up. The Orioles have some position players that are coming up. I would expect Orioles are going to have more prospects come up this year. So I would think if you're looking at the race for the bottom right now, I'd probably have the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
The lineup doesn't really do anything for me. There's no fun.
No,
there's no fun player. Like at least the O's had Cedric Mullins hit 30 bombs and steal 30 bases. There's none of that here. I mean, maybe Ketel Marte is somebody to keep an eye on. He just signed a long-term deal there. But their home run projections are all 21 and lower. It's not great. Their best average hitter is going to be Marte, projection-wise. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. I'm just trying to find anything that would be fun to kind of. I mean, they do have a top-ranked farm system, but again, like you said, theirs is a little bit further away, I think, than the Orioles. They got Alec Thomas, Corbin Carroll, Jordan Lawler, Blake Walston, but nothing like the Orioles. Like they're fourth in that pipeline on pipeline, but yeah. Underwhelming. I think we're good. You want to throw up some projections, and then we'll move on into some real predictions.
Yeah, here's our your AL West. No, we already did that. Your NL West. Sorry.
Yep.
That's mine. Yours. Here it is.
All right. So Dodgers, San Diego Padres, Giants, Rockies, Arizona. I felt like that one was pretty predictable. Giants could shock me, but I just don't see anybody. I think the Dodgers, Jordan, win this division by 8 to 10 games. I'm going for it. I'm going for this is going to be a really not great division for the rest of the teams.
I'm going to say it's still close, but I have Dodgers, Giants, Padres, Rockies. Diamondbacks have the same as what happened last year. Not same games winning, but you know, the same lineup there.
Above 60? I'm going no. I'm going
above 60 what?
Wins. Diamondbacks.
For who? Diamondbacks? Oh, no.
40?
They'll have at least one less win than the Orioles. That's what I'm going with. At least one less. They'll get the first. Well, they'll get in the lottery, I guess, right?
Yeah.
As that's the new rule.
All right, Jordan, let's do it. Let's do some predictions, and I'm just going to throw out some awards. You kind of just give me a name off the top of your head.
Yeah.
We didn't really practice for this one. We didn't really have anything here, so I just kind of want to see where we kind of land. So let's start with MVP. All right, MVP. If you're going MVP in the leagues, who you got? NL, AL. Who are your MVPs? Who are guys maybe that you're kind of watching to have a solid year? Because these are always easy to predict.
AL, I'm going Vladdy. NL, I will go with. Let's go Mookie.
Vladdy Mookie.
All
righty. All right, NL, I'm going Bryce Harper.
Had a good season last year.
Yeah. AL MVP, man, I want to pick Mike, but I just don't know if he'll stay healthy. You know what? AL MVP, I'm going Shohei. Why not?
I would like that. I would really like that.
Yeah. All right, Jordan. Cy Young. Who you got going Cy Young, AL, NL?
Oh, geez. Cy Young for Jordan.
This is a lot harder.
It is a lot harder. I would have never predicted Robbie Ray. Yeah, if you want to go first. I was going to say, because I never would have picked Robbie Ray, so I'm not sure where I'm going.
All right. You want me to read some odds for you so that way it's easier to
Yeah. Give me some cheat sheets here.
AL Cy Young, Jordan. Favorite to win it. Garrett Cole, 350.
No.
Plus 350. Shane
They're cracking down more on sticky stuff. It's not going to happen.
All right. Shane Bieber, Cleveland. Lucas Giolito, Chicago White Sox. Robbie Ray, Seattle. Chris Sale, that ain't happening. Justin Verlander. Lance McCullers Jr. Interesting.
No, that's one.
Alek Manoah. Toronto. Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, Lance Lynn, Shane McClanahan.
I'll go Barrios for Toronto.
Okay. All right.
I do like him. He's going to be, I think, their opening day starter. So I'm going to go Barrios.
All right, NL Cy Young favorites, Jordan. Max Scherzer, Corbin Burns, Walker Buehler, Brandon Woodruff, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Max Fried, Jacob deGrom, not happening. Carlos Rondon, Julio Urias, Logan Webb.
I'm going to go with Burns from Brewers. Okay. I think Max, I mean, he's going to be healthy, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's tough to win it with the Mets, man. All right. AL's my favorite. I'm going to go Shane Bieber. Let's go for fun.
So you're probably a believer.
I am a believer. I'm probably not going to happen because with how bad they are, but they're in a bad division, so he's got a chance. All right, and then NL, I'm going. Gosh, I'm not going Philly because they got a horrible defense. I'm going Max Fried from Atlanta.
Oh, I was wrong. Okay.
Who are you thinking?
I started writing down Logan Webb.
Damn, what a chance I had there. Gosh, the namesake. Do you want to do Rookie of the Year?
Yes.
Okay. Rookie of the Year, Adley Rutschman.
Yes, there you go. AL, Adley Rutschman. Give it up. NL. Oh, I don't know if I know enough NL rookies of the year.
All right, I'll give you a list. Hold on. Maybe if I can scroll.
Because even all like the, Julio Rodriguez has a shot.
Seiya Suzuki from the Cubs.
That's true, yeah.
Bryson Stott from the Phillies. He was the 45th rated prospect. Just a little bit of information. He hit .299 across the Phillies 3 levels. You've got O'Neal Cruz from the Pirates. He's pretty freaking solid. Gold Glove caliber, great shortstop. He's the dude that's massive. He's 6'7", Jordan. Slug 594. Dang. Hunter Green, the kid that throws the Reds. Joey Bart, the catcher. What the hell was that? I think that's who the Cubs wanted was Joey Bart.
He's on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Right? No, he's on the Giants. Sorry, because he's filling in for
Chris. Yeah. Anybody out of that list that year? Maybe?
I'll go O'Neal Cruz. Why not?
Okay. All right. I'm going Adley too with AL.
Yeah.
I'll be boring. I'm going Adley Rutschman. I just think it's a clear-cut favorite. I'm going with Seiya Suzuki from the Cubbies. Why not? Let's be a homer. Let's be homers here for the rookies. I don't know. I like his chances. All right. ALCS, NLCS, because we did divisions and we got the wild card filling out of the way. Or actually, no, we didn't. How about playoff teams, Jordan? Can we do that? Is that fun? Can we do playoff teams? ALCS? No? Okay. All right. Let's do then ALCS, NLCS, and then
World Series. Okay.
All right. And then I want like TV numbers and that's the next prediction. I'm kidding.
13 million views.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
ALCS. Damn.
You have to get this right.
Feels that way. ALCS. Well, if I said that the winner of the World Series is coming from the East,
of either the AL or NL,
I've got to put them in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the Blue Jays versus the. Let's go Mariners. Blue Jays, Mariners. ALCS. NLCS, I guess, next for me. NLCS. I mean, I have to put another East team in here. I am going to put in here I'm going to put Braves versus the Phillies of Philadelphia.
All right. AL East, or sorry, an NL East matchup, huh?
An NL East matchup.
All righty. Should we wait for the World Series win and then?
Well, I'll let you say your ALCS and NLCS,
All
then
right.
I'll give my World Series.
Gotcha. ALCS, I'm going Houston Astros. Why bet against it? And the Toronto Blue Jays. NLCS. Ooh. I'm going Brewers. Brewers Braves. Yeah. Brewers Braves.
I almost went Brewers. All right, so that means my World Series teams here are going to be the Blue Jays facing off against the Braves. And I'm going to say the Braves win in game 6. Back-to-back years. That doesn't sound like that's going to happen, and I should stop it right now.
We should just pick the Dodgers. What are we doing? Why did we not pick the Dodgers?
You know what? Let's do it. Let's go. I'm doing Blue Jays Phillies with the Phillies winning in game 6.
So we're both going for Dodger letdowns.
Here's the thing, too. Kansas won the Final Four, and the last time Kansas won the Final Four, the Phillies won the World Series. So
okay, well, that changes my pick. Yeah, I'm gonna go Braves Astros again. I'm gonna be boring.
Oh, a rematch.
Yeah, I'm gonna be boring.
Who wins?
I'm gonna see the Astros win it this time.
How many games?
6.
All right, so we both have game 6. Do you want to hear Trevor Plouffe, who nailed it last time, by the way?
Yeah. What do you got?
He's Dodgers got Brewers over the White Sox in 7. So place your bets, everyone.
That would be insane. Like, what? I'm just trying to unravel that whole season now in my head.
There you go. We just told you who's going to win the World Series. It's going to be a team.
The Cubs and
actually,
Orioles.
You said it was going to be from the East, and you chose a team from the West. So you betrayed.
I lied.
You've betrayed your earlier predictions. But
I didn't want to be boring. I don't know. I didn't want the Braves to win again.
Yeah.
And I don't want the Astros to win it, but if they're going to win it, they're going to win it. This might be the year. They get rid of Carlos Correa. It's a perfect storyline.
Yeah, there you go.
We didn't need you. All right, Jordan. We did it. We made it. We are hours away from opening day. Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee Brewers, Wrigley Field, cold, nasty, but looking forward to it. They get the first game because I think it was the Red Sox and the Yankees that were supposed to tee it off at 1.
Yes.
But that's not happening. The Twins and the
Mariners.
Thank you. We're also canceled. Any more cancellations since we've been on this 7-hour podcast?
Not yet. So Here's what it is. Brewers Cubs at 2:20. 4:10 is Guardians Royals. That's the MLB.TV free game of the day.
It should be free. I'm sorry. That was me.
Pirates and Cardinals at 4:15. Mets and Nats at 7:05. Reds and Braves at 8:08. Astros Angels at 9:38. And Padres D-backs at 9:40. And then the 2 postponed games. Then Friday, we have even more games. One of the free games of the day on Friday is Dodgers Rockies at 4 o'clock. And then Apple TV free for the Apple TV Friday Night Baseball games for the first half of the season. Mets Nats at 7 and Astros Angels at 9:38 on Friday.
It is weird starting them now because it's like, they had those premier matches like that were supposed to kick off the year, and now they're kind of like, oh man, now we got to go like this weird.
They lucked into Red Sox Yankees.
They did, yeah, they really did. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we are a wake up away, and I actually have a day off tomorrow, so I'm getting to watch opening day unravel. I only get to see like 1.5 games because they all start late, and there's like 7 games tomorrow. There's not even that many. But Jordan, Are you excited? Are you excited to see your O's take the field? Are you just like cankering for the chance to see Adley Rutschman take the field as an Oriole after his 2-week, 3-week, whatever he's going to
he's
spend?
going to be probably by the end of the month is what I predicted on Word from the Warehouse, our Oriole-themed podcast.
Great episode, by the way. I listened to it.
Oh, you listened to it?
Yeah, it was really good. I was like informed. I was like, all right, I know all about the Orioles.
I thought I was just rambling. So
no, it's good.
It's good to know that it was informational. Yeah, I have. Look, it's not just Adley I'm excited for. We got Kyle Bradish probably coming up soon. We've got Grayson Rodriguez, who's going to hit probably in June. But Adley's going to be like that first wave. Maybe Bradish might be one of the first waves, but definitely Adley is going to be the one. And look, he's already going to be 24. He's one of the best catching prospects of all time, or at least in recent memory. So really excited to see when he gets up here. And overall, I'm actually really excited for the season. I really like the Orioles lineup. I was just thinking about it when they released the roster. I was like, oh, I could see this lineup doing pretty okay. Some players like Jorge Mateo and Ramon Urias have been really good this spring. Probably going to play in the middle of the infield. Rougned Odor has not been good, but still made the team. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not expecting much from the pitching until we start bringing up some guys, but Mike Elias was very upfront and very honest with how disappointed he is in some of these pitchers that haven't turned it around yet. Mm-hmm. So some of these guys are probably on their last chances before we do bring up some young guys. So also happy 30th birthday, Camden Yards. That's today.
Wow. You're older than Camden Yards.
Yes.
Dude, you're so old.
By like half a year. Yep.
I'm not older than Wrigley. I'm not older than Wrigley.
I'm 10 months older than Camden Yards.
Wow. All right. Jordan, if people want to follow us all season, they can do it at Facebook, at Extra Innings Baseball Show, on Twitter, Extra Innings Show. That's where you're going to see a lot of us, see a lot of us. We're going to be tweeting a ton. That's where you find a lot of our in-game live tweeting. And then Instagram,
highlights, videos, stuff like that.
Right. Much easier to keep up with baseball than some of these other sports. Extra Innings Baseball Show over on Instagram, where we'll be posting pictures of Jordan's face. You're going to get to see Jordan a lot because he's going to be going to a lot more parks in his area than my area. So he's going to be visiting. He's going to have some vlogs, slogs, wogs, whatever you want to call them.
Baseball bucket list is coming back. So there you go.
Nice. That is a bucket list item. If you haven't checked out Jordan's the Word from the Warehouse. Oh, sorry. Word from the Warehouse. Right? I said that right? Okay.
You said it right, yeah.
Okay. I was like, why does that sound wrong? And then Cubs Courier is the Cubs one. I'm launching the preview. I'm actually recording it after this one. So it'll be another long night for me, but an even longer night for our producer, my boss, Jordan Wiegand. That has been Jordan Wiegand. This is the Extra Innings Baseball Show. Everybody enjoy your opening day. Kick back, relax. Everybody's team is starting out with a clean slate tomorrow. Everybody's team can win the World Series. Wink, wink. But again, it's a fun time of year. Share it with the rest of the world. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll catch you again next time, where Jordan and I will be previewing the first series that we're going to be seeing here, I guess, over the next week, because it's kind of a weird kind of launch into the season. But we'll see you guys again sometime next week, beginning of next week, where we'll kind of wrap up what has happened and what's currently going on in the MLB. I'm sure we'll have some news to report, some injuries maybe to kind of go through, even some recent rumors and off-season moves still kind of happening, because teams try to kind of file in some team moves before we get started. But again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys again next week. Enjoy opening day.
The Extra Innings Baseball Show is hosted by Logan Stump, edited and produced by Jordan Wiegand, and we hope that everybody enjoys us talking some baseball in this MLB 2022 season that is upcoming. Thank you.